What up, what up, what up, Ninja Village? Welcome to another episode of Ninja Banter with the Less Than Stealthy Ninjas. Yes, you heard me correct. Ninja Banter. It has
Yes,
been a
sir.
while since Boss and I, or Boss Aranya and I, whatever combination has done one of these, but we made a promise that we're going to at least give y'all one or two of these a month to keep the Ninja Banter going. And this one, Boss and I kind of thought about because tomorrow at 11 o'clock our time, but really June 21st, the DLC to Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree drops. So Boss and I was thinking, why do we love these hard ass, difficult ass, complicated ass games so much? And not so much just Elden Ring or any game from software makes, just some of these games, period. And we're going to just try to think it out and talk about it now. We're going to try to see if we can come up with a breakthrough of why we love these hard-ass games. And, of course, before we get into it, we got to go back in time. So, Boss and I are both 37. And back in our day, I don't know about you, back in our Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis games, we had hard games.
We did. I remember them. Yeah.
We had like Lion Kings and
Contra and
Contras
Mega
and
Man,
Metal
Shinobi,
Slugs and all that.
Ninja Gaiden. Yeah, we had them.
So you could not get me if this technology was out then. You couldn't get me to play a game like this then. especially even if we go beyond kids to teenagers. Even as a teenager, you couldn't get me to even look at a game like this and want me to consider playing it. Because I would say the hardest games we had maybe in our PlayStation 1 area was maybe Tenchu, because you had to be stealth.
Oh, PS1 days?
Yeah, you had Tenchu.
You had Tenchu.
Maybe Metal Gear Solid for some.
We could probably look it up. Artists, PS1 games.
For puzzle fans, you had Intelligent Cube.
The original, the first Crash Bandicoot.
That kind of was a little difficult. I'm not gonna lie.
Odd World's Abe's Odyssey.
Never played one.
Rayman, the original.
Really? They got this one in the heart? Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. The Fear Effects series. I don't know if you played those.
I never played Fear Effects. So.
Yep. There you go. Kingsfield. Now.
Never played it. I know it's made by who we talking about.
It was made by, yeah. So that was their first.
Yeah. So. What do you think? So to ask you this question, what is it about these games today that you're okay with playing it than more than what we had then?
Oh, fuck that game. But
wait, what game?
The first Driver.
Oh yeah, fuck Driver.
I never made it out of the tutorial. Never made it out of the tutorial. Anyway, so what do I think it is about these games? Like, look, we've all played some of those old games back in our kids' days.
Yeah.
But they were a different breed than the beasts of today. Now, a lot of people our age, they'll be like, oh, our games were harder back then. I disagree.
Well, I would disagree too, because some of those games was hard because of limitations too.
Very much so harder than because
limitations
of
and glitches and things like that.
Right. Like the two main culprits that come to my mind immediately are the original Rygar and Silver Surfer for the Nintendo.
Oh my God, Silver Surfer.
So if you never played those, Ninja Nation,
just look them up on YouTube.
Rygar, back on the NES days, this was before you could save a game. So, and if I remember right, this is also pre-password. So if you stopped playing this game at any point before you beat it, you turned it off, you turned it back on, you started back at the beginning with nothing. No, there was no saving, there was no passwords, there was nothing. You had to leave it on and let your shit get hot. Silver Surfer, which on the NES, if I remember right, he died in one hit to everything.
And it was bullet hell.
And it was bullet hell, but everything else took multiple hits to
And
die.
anything could kill you in that game.
Anything. So
Anything.
that was the original Dante Must Die mode. So
Basically.
So yeah, man, like they were different beasts because of the limitations. Everything now is much more fair, but somehow still as difficult.
Yes.
And so like I understand my reasoning is it because I like that sense of accomplishment. When you overcome something that has been whooping your ass, like it just hits better than it did back in those days. Like I remember the games that I got stuck in back in those early days. Like I remember one, like Final Fantasy IX, what people know is my favorite Final Fantasy. There was one boss on disc 4 that made me put the game down for months. So like in Final Fantasy has never, not a single one of them have ever been a difficult game. Other than maybe Tactics. That's it. I came back to that game months later and finally beat it. But these days, the sense of accomplishment you get for anybody that, like, we could go back to, like, me and Scoot, one of our favorites, Bloodborne. There's 2 bosses you face in the beginning. One is entirely optional. The other is the mandatory skill check for the rest of the damn game.
I didn't know that first boss was optional when I first played the game.
Me neither.
So just imagine, to my surprise, to find out that whole boss that I struggled with was optional.
Optional, completely.
That is deflating as fuck.
And you know what's fucked about this game? That is the easiest boss you will face in Bloodborne. Like, other than maybe the Celestial Emissary, that is the easiest boss you will face in that game. So, or no, the witch, the witch in the. You remember when you go with the chicks that I have all them cleavers and saws, and then the witch is just invisible till you get right up on her, and she has the shade just walking around the area. She's like she can't attack. She's just invisible, and then it has that shadow shade just walking around.
That sounds familiar.
And the shade moves slow, so you could just really run around till you get her.
It might have got put out in my head by other things.
So anyway, everybody has lost multiple fights to Father Gascoigne. Multiple. And here's the thing. Even if you do the little side mission to get the music box, that will help. It don't make the fight any easier. So it's just like I remember losing so many fights to Father Gascoigne. Like, it forces you to get good. It forces you to be good at the game. But otherwise,
even then, what is it about still coming back? Because our third ninja, Aranya, she quit. It was like, fuck this, I'm out.
She quit.
What is it about us people who are still like, nah, I'm gonna keep going though? Because we have to be some type of psychologically fucked up somewhere. Because granted, I will say this: before we had Game Passes and PlayStation Plus Ultimate's Essential Bundle shit, we bought these games. So it was like, do I just say fuck this $50, $60 I spent, or do we just, like you say, get good? So that has to be something psychological, because I will tell you this, from my standpoint on it, even though I bought the original, I think I beat the Phalanx, whatever the fuck you said.
Phalanx, yeah.
And I was done. And it wasn't the fact that it wasn't for the fact that I was done because the game was too hard. It was just, I just wasn't feeling it. Right. And I never played a Souls game. I never played none of the Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3. I've only played Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember seeing Bloodborne and I was just like, I want to play this. I know who makes it, but I want to play it. Knowing my history with Demon Souls, it was like I wanted to play it. And it was just, I'm here, because I will probably say the hardest game I had played prior to this was Ninja Gaiden on Xbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even finish it because I never owned the Xbox because I was just playing it. So I never finished it. But Ninja Gaiden on the Xbox was probably the hardest game that I can say I played. And that game was just stupid tough for whatever reason. So even then, yes, there's a sense of accomplishment, but there still has to be something off for us gamers and us people to want to experience these games, because we're purposely putting ourselves through this.
I also think what it is.
We're purposely doing it.
Right. This is the bed we've made and we've chosen to sleep in.
Yes.
So, like, I think what it also is the part about making the bed that we sleep in, that we choose to. I think it's gradual, because like what we played those games when we were kids, and then every new console generation, or eventually when you got on PC, there was the hard games of each of those.
Yeah.
Like after the PS1, we had PS2, and what did that introduce? God of War, Devil May Cry.
And you know, an asterisk to what you're saying. So I tell people out there too, I don't put my games on hard.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm playing Uncharted, God of Wars, Devil May Cries, whatever, the game is on normal.
Right.
If it gives me a challenge, it gives me a challenge. I have never been the person who's like, yeah, you don't beat the game until you beat it on the ultra hard difficulty. No.
Right.
That is you.
I'll say this. I have never done that until trophies came around.
Yeah.
Yeah. Never did that till trophies came around, because with PS3, like, if you wanted the platinum of a certain game, you had to beat it multiple times on certain difficulties. That's how I ended up with the plats on the Uncharted series, because you had to beat it on the hard and then crushing. And boy, so yeah, man. I think it's just gradual. Like each console generation brought with it more difficult games, and so it just kept ramping up, and you got used to different things being hard, whether it was the common enemies that could whoop your ass. And then all that changed when the Fire Nation attacked.
It did. All that changed when the Fire Nation attacked. You are absolutely correct.
And the Fire Nation in question, its name is From Software. Because
yeah, you are 1,000% correct.
The Fire Nation, like, their first game was the Kingsfield series on the PS1 days. They came out in the PS3 days with Demon's Souls. Now, anybody that's played these games, Soulsborne, you could probably make the argument that Demon's Souls will probably be harder than Dark Souls 1 and 2. You can make that argument. Oh, because that was them trying something new and creating a brand new genre that is still going strong to this day.
And not even still going strong to this day, but that has been often imitated. And never duplicated.
Often imitated. There's some good clones out there. Like, we ain't gonna lie about that. Okay, but like, so, you know, and once they came out and everybody got and the people that got their hands on that game played it. And then the follow-up came out in 2011, which was like a short 2 years before the PS4, which was Dark Souls. And that came out within a month or 2 months of Skyrim, Elder Scrolls,
something like that.
And a lot of people missed Skyrim, me being one of them, because of that game. I was playing Dark Souls so much, and that's where you started to see them refining the blueprint. Yeah. And then everything after that was either an imitator or it was named a Souls.
I mean, let's even like put credit where it's due. They made God of War 2018 the way it is.
Very much so.
Because I mean, granted, it doesn't have the system of you dying and you got to go retrieve your stuff and everything, but the combat is very much from software. I mean, you got games like Ark, Conan, the Forest, Sons of the Forest, Neo series. There's so Code Vein. There's so many games that has followed the From Software blueprint. Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, even Final Fantasy did it with what was that Final Fantasy game that came out that nobody really played?
Oh, I know what you want. The one you talk about. The prequel to the first one.
Yeah, the prequel.
The prequel to the first one.
Yeah.
Oh, what was the name? Anyway, yeah,
but
like
so
you're right.
Many games, so many games.
Right, like you can say, like this is the biggest genre creation of games that From Software created, probably since the game Rogue came out in 1980.
Yeah.
It spawned roguelikes with Hades and all them. So, you know.
I don't know. I might say Call of Duty might have a claim with the whole army first person shooter kind of thing because of Call of Duty and its success, we've had a lot of games try to be as army or army adjacent as possible.
Okay.
So
then you could probably put that back on like Medal of Honor, maybe.
True. You can say that, but it was Call of Duty that really took that ball and ran with it.
Or like what, fast twitch shooter? But then you probably have to say Quake or Unreal Tournament.
Oh, no, Quake definitely with that one.
Yeah,
I mean, or you can even say whatchamacallit too might have a hand in some creation. The other game everybody loves, Portal. Because Portal did birth a good kind of puzzle.
No, what is it? Half-Life, where everything. It didn't start. It didn't start a genre. It just basically opened up gaming to everybody with the Source engine, and everybody started creating shit off that.
Yes,
but man.
Yeah, but I will say recent memory. Recent memory. The Soulsborne formula is in a lot of games.
Right. And you can see that the difficulty stuff has bled over to not even games in the Soulsborne genre. Exactly. You can just go to open world RPGs. Like one of my favorite franchises is the Horizon franchise. Mm-hmm. And I love it because as soon as you gain control of Aloy, it drops you in this massive, beautiful open world and says, hey, go do what you want. Go do what you want.
There are some spots.
There are some spots.
They're going to be like, hey.
As my name implies.
I would say, like Boss's name say, you may be too weak. And see, I think where you're going with this, I think that's why Elden Ring took off like hotcakes, because so many people seeing the close quarterness of Bloodborns and Sekiros and the Souls games, and they see Elden Ring as just this open paradise, especially after they got that open paradise of the Zelda game, Breath of the Wild. So now many people got their Breath of the Wild eyes thinking this was this, and you were sadly mistaken, because as soon as you step your ass off that platform, you can get dusted, my boy.
You can get handled.
You can get dusted, my boy or my girl.
Take your paws off either.
like easily dusted.
Like if anybody that doesn't know what the Horizon franchise is, just to go back to that for a second.
Go ahead.
You play as Aloy in the far future after the world has been decimated by the apocalypse and everything has started to be regrowing and everything. So it's beautiful. It's not desolate. Let me say that. But the world is overrun with robotic dinosaurs and animals who want to hurt you in the worst way. And there's also tribes out there.
3 of them. So maybe 3 types of animals who will not cause you any harm.
Right. And so they will run, like there's some that'll run from you at the first sight. Others will be like, hey, you stepped into the wrong hood, homie. Like
you wearing the wrong colors, I see.
So they will look, and you can go anywhere, but the missions are designed to introduce you to some of these dinosaurs and creatures. And if you skip those missions, because it's not going to tell you until you come across them, you can run into these creatures without knowing how to fight them, with no knowledge, and get hurt. Like
mollywopped.
Like there's like it introduced in the first game was what they call stalkers. These are the panthers of this world. And Scoot, you remember, like they mostly hang out in forests. And here's the thing. They go invisible. They have the ability to cloak themselves and they perch on trees and you don't see them unless you get right up on them. They will shoot you and then you look around and you'll see nothing but a blur. And then you getting fucked up. And don't let them be one of the elemental ones. Now you taking gradual damage and you don't know what's fucking you up. So this is not the only game that does this, whether it's like the Fallout games where you play in Fallout 4 and you come across the Swan because you just happen to be walking by this one area to get to your next destination. Or Dragon's Dogma, you just come across
hell, even if we still talking about difficult games, we could even talk about XCOM.
Look, man. that is one
system.
Very much so. Like any of these games where you can lose your people and that is it. That is it. Like there are areas in all the other games, they'll tell you like you can go wherever. You get there and there's an enemy just standing out in the open. You woke up, you swack them, and it does nothing to them. They turn around and hit you once and it's over. You know you're too weak for that area. And so you better go find you somewhere safe to be. so it's gotta be like the gradual nature that we all grew up with, but then you can't say that for the younger people, the Gen Zers who love these games as well, because they were born into it. They were born after the birth of these genres. So,
and not only that too, but the animalistic, just human nature of yells and screams that people let out when they topple a boss that has been beating their ass for time straight. Because I cannot tell you playing Elden Ring, and at the time they were on Twitch because I finished my journey on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
The yells, the screams, and the profanity that come out your mouth, and I think what makes it so great,
mm-hmm.
they didn't whoop your ass about 200 times, but all you need is that one.
That one.
All that you need is that one.
That one. And you know that feeling, because like they done whooped your ass dozens upon dozens of times, and you start to, in the beginning, you like, all right, you dodging every attack. They ain't touched you yet. You ain't healed nothing. You steady hitting them. You like, all right, this might be the run. You've had many runs start off like that, and they end up fucking you up because you slipped up once. But eventually,
go ahead.
Eventually, there comes that one. You start getting them down, and it's like, all right, that's all right. That's one hit. I'd heal, and then you whipping away at them. You whipping away, whether it's Melania, Radon, the Elden Beast. You getting them. You getting them. And then you see that's less than a tenth of their health left, and you got one flask left. You're like, no. Now you start getting desperate. You feel the hairs on your neck stand up. You feel
hands that got sweaty. You gotta halfway forget the controls.
You start putting Street Fighter inputs into your controller. Throwing, they ain't doing shit.
Ain't doing nothing.
And then all of a sudden, they got that much health, that Street Fighter health, as we call it.
Street Fighter health.
You swing on them, and they dodge away, and it's like, no, bring your ass here.
This was the square. You were supposed to fight in the square.
Ain't no running from this ass whooping.
And then next thing you know, they just hit your ass with a whop, whop, boom, and you're like...
And then that next one, you learn, all right, no, come back here. And you get them, and then you hit them, and they start to fade away and disintegrate. The roar that you let out. Because, like, I'm going to tell you like this. You either fall in one or two camps when that happens. When a boss has been whooping your ass. You either get extremely excited and you make a yell that sounds like a barbarian battle cry. Or you just get extremely elated and you just go into silent contemplation of what you done been through.
And then you realize the boss got a second form.
You did all that struggling to realize, wait, there's a
phase 2? No. What you mean a phase 2? No. This is impossible. No.
Like, because same thing too. I wish I would have recorded myself playing Cuphead, because when I tell you, as cutesy and as beautiful as that game is, the profanity I would launch towards Cuphead was legendary. And the things that I would yell out when I finally won, child, that game was M-rated for sure, thanks to me. M-rated for sure. But yeah, it's just, you're right. It's something about that sense of accomplishment, but then in the back of your head, it's like, I don't have to put myself through this.
Guardian 8.
When that damn ape got up and held his head with one hand
and the sword was the other,
I almost cut the game off. I almost cut Sekiro off. I almost cut it off.
Man, listen, like, you right, like, the thing is, like, because Elden Ring, the past 2 years, took over the world. You know?
Yes.
Everybody and their mama played it. And here's the thing.
Castanat went on 100-some hour stream to get ready for this DLC.
And, like, here's the thing. The hardest, most legendary boss in that game is entirely optional.
Okay, so like I said before, one of the most deflating things, right? So this was the thing, and I hope y'all can hear me clear, and I hope I'm not on too much ASMR. I knew going into this game when I replayed it that there was this legendary redhead warrior named Melania. And I knew how difficult she was. When Boss helped me on my journey to get to her, he was like, hey, you know she optional, right? Only because I was on stream. I was like, I don't give a fuck. She got to go down.
Right.
In the back of my head, I was like, the fuck you mean she optional? Everybody's been struggling with an optional boss. He's optional.
Boss.
She's optional. And what makes Melania... See, this is the one thing people don't tell you unless you watch a lot of streamers. Getting to her
is a hassle within it.
Look,
Getting to Melania is a hassle within itself.
but let's just break it down.
Just to get to her and she can whoop your ass.
Let's just break it down for them. Anybody that says they got to Melania without a guide is a fucking liar.
Oh yeah, fuck it. You
We gonna say that off the jump.
You just a glutton for punishment.
Unless you a developer and you worked on the game. That's it. Because to get through the game, you have to get 2 pieces of a medallion. You have to get the Dectus medallion, and you have to get them. That gets you up to the Altus Plateau. Eventually, you have to find the secret medallion, the secret medallion pieces, one of which is held by an invisible character who you don't see unless you whack him. And then once you get those pieces, you then have to get through you have to beat the fire giant. Then you have to go back to a certain area. You have to hold up the secret medallion with the prompt. Then you have to make it through the gate. Then you have to get to the consecrated snowfield, which is the hardest in-game, one of these probably the second hardest in-game area that just has a whole bunch of enemies and bosses in it, including Astel of the Darkness and Astel of the Void.
A Silent Hill ass level.
Mm-hmm.
Where you can barely see in front of you, and they want you to go through this motherfucker.
Through this motherfucker. And that is not how you get to her. That is the area where you have to find the gate to get to her. To get to her, you have to find the town. I forget the town's name, but once you get there, it's like, okay, you have to put a stone sword in the imp and start a challenge. Okay, what's the challenge? Light these fires. Oh, that's easy until you start it. And there's invisible Deathblade daggers, assassins everywhere. And then if you think you safe on the roof, there's archers in there trained by Hawkeye and Legolas themselves that'll
with a little bit of John, what's his name? John Shooter, Jim Shooter, whatever the fuck his name was in Shooter.
Oh man,
yeah.
They'll pop your ass off, and then the black knives will sneak up behind you, slither up your back, and put a dagger in your chest.
And once again, like Boss has explained it, because he has more. This is just to get to the area she resides. You're not even there yet.
Nah.
This is just to get to where she resides. But go ahead, Boss. So after you finish going through this fucked up reverse town,
and after you get through there, you then, once you light all the fires, they all disappear. It's like, okay, all right, I can go through this area. It puts you at the top of the Erdtree, not at the root. You have to fight your way down to the root. So you start at the tippy top in the canopy on these very narrow branches with these fucking gourd white Zetsu sperm singers blowing bubbles at your ass.
And
then you have the giant ants.
My gameplay new. Platforming in Elden Ring was not my friend.
And like, man, it's
and then not only that, another thing, hence Boss's name, sometimes you realize I might be too weak for this area.
And man, it's like you fighting your way down and you get knocked off and they put you back at the top. It's like, fuck this area. Fuck it.
Yeah. When I say finding a site of grace was almost like winning the game,
you could make the argument that is the one area in Elden Ring where finding a site of grace is aptly named. This is a site of fucking grace.
This is a site of grace because, like Boss said, the Erdtree is very reminiscent of our games of old. If you die before the checkpoint, good luck. And of course, for anybody who's familiar with a Souls type game, not only good luck, but do you want your rooms back?
Right.
Do you want, how much does those rooms mean to you?
Because let's make it very plain and simple. This area requires platforming in a game where platforming skills ain't taken into account. This game is not built for that. But you better be good at it. You better be good at it, or at least judging a drop. You better be good at judging a drop and a small jump.
Because once again, you got enemies everywhere. You got platforming. So if you going into this area with a room, with a nice little amount of rooms, how much do these rooms mean to you?
Mm-hmm. Like,
and then when you finally get to this beautiful, undefeated warrior, might I add?
Right.
She's like, okay, let's fight.
Right.
And you know what's fucked up about Melania? As much times as I've seen people complain about Melania, you know what's the one thing that never slipped out about Melania? Anytime she hits you, she get her health back.
Right.
I never knew that. Until I fought her.
Like, that was a lot. That was one thing people never repeated as often as they fought her, even though that was the biggest fuck you that she could have. Other than that dance, that flower dance shit she did, man. Listen,
the curse of the waterfowl.
The curse of the waterfowl. Because I to this day.
Oh no, sorry. The dance of the
waterfowl. Dance of the waterfowl. I to this day know that if I fight her, I can't dodge it. I know I can't dodge it. And I've seen people, namely, let me solo her, dodge that shit with not a hit on them.
Not a stain on me.
With no armor on.
Shout out to Big Tuck.
Butt naked in a pot on their head. Like,
and just dodge that move like it's like nothing.
Like they name Elliot Ness. Just untouchable.
Untouchable.
And I'm sitting there looking at them dodge it, and I'm like, I swear I did that shit.
And not only that, I think what also makes these games cool, and I'm talking about just Soulborne's games in general.
Yeah.
And mainly I want to talk about the FromSoft, because I haven't played too many outside other than like Neo's and a couple of others. What makes the From Software games cool is that you can see a person dust a boss, just like completely obliterate a boss, and your first thought is, I ain't got none of that shit they just used.
Right.
I ain't using magic. Why did I just watch a magic person do this? I don't have that giant blade of chaos. What the fuck was that?
Speaking of, like, we go back to Planet Nico. Remember?
One of his most legendary moments. So, Planet Nico was going against General.
Was it Radon? Or was
it wasn't Radon. No, it was the one general that you fight off in the distance who summoned all those extra people, who had all extra people with him. He was in the rock.
He was in the rock.
He was in the rock, and it was a general that he had all those ghost warriors.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. I forget his name.
But
hold on, I'm gonna Google it because I'm not playing. Hold on.
Nico was fighting him. Shout out to Planet Nico. Because he has this as one of his clips he used. So Planet Nico was fighting him, and somebody in his chat was like, "Hey, use the Dragon Rock Breath." He was like, "Oh, okay, hold on, Dragon Rock Breath." He literally went through the inventory. Guess what? I ain't got that shit.
You're right.
That was frustration kicking in. That was frustration and anger.
Like, no, you gotta remember, like Commander O'Neill.
Commander O'Neill. There you go.
Because remember, he got up. He looked around his actual actual house.
Yeah, he even looked around the house too. You're right.
He like,
And
oh no, you got dragon rod breath? I ain't got that shit.
That was legit anger and frustration kicking in from somebody who Commander O'Neil was handing him L's. And here it is, people in the chat telling him to use a certain move, and it's like, fuck out my string. But that's how these games make you feel. Because you will see somebody play, because like Boss said, let me solo her, who has beaten Melania over 1,000 times. He even did a playthrough where every enemy in the game was Melania. It's like he has a jar on his head, and I don't know what sword he was using. And it's like, how? And this is why these games are so great at times, because you can see somebody doing something and you like, because see, the first time I played Elden Ring, I didn't know how I was going to do, because my first time truly watching it was watching Boss. And Boss is a magic user. So I'm like, how the fuck am I supposed to do this with just swords and shit? And the beauty about From Software, they make it possible. Mm-hmm. They make it possible depending on your style of play. You can get through it. But just know, you might have some, you will have some hardships. You're going to have to just suck it up, buttercup, and get through it, because that's the beauty of these games. It's either going to be one or two things you're going to do. You're going to suck it up, buttercup, and get good, or you're going to just be like, you know what? I bow out. I'm out. Mm-hmm. One of the two. There is no third option.
There's people out there that make the games harder,
and I don't see how y'all are madmen.
Look. I don't know if you've seen the Elden Ring mods, but there's one out there that made a Melania harder. So it's called the Unalloyed Melania mod. I'm just gonna send you the video. Okay. The link to the video of Let Me Solo her playing her.
Okay.
And so, man, but these games, I fucking love them, man.
Yeah.
Like, I love the open world games where you get to an area and you ain't supposed to be there, and it's like, all right, I'll come back. Or like it's just, or if you like, even like with Elden Ring, like as you done heard somebody else say, like, hey, you trying to play like this? There's something over here in Cleveland that you'll want to get. And then you go to Cleveland and a fucking bird gonna fuck your ass up.
And then too, not only that, but also too, the thing about me saying the play style how you want, that is some of the most gift and curse things possible. Mm-hmm. Because you could struggle to find an item and be the enemy, then realize I did all that shit for a scepter. I don't even use magic.
No.
I would do all of that struggle for a fucking staff.
Right. Okay. And see, and here's the thing. All these Soulsborne games, because all of them have dozens and hundreds of spells, weapons, and tactics you can use to build out your character. The one way I could never play these games is the randomly generated mod, where the enemies that
don't even sound like fun. That don't even sound like fun.
Where I don't know if you've seen it, where they start the game as soon as you go out into the platform. You know where the Dragon Knight Sentinel is?
Yeah.
They played it. They came out there, and it's the Elden Beast slithering around.
Hey, hold on. You know what? You know what would have happened with that?
But not only that, Scoop, the items that you want to build your character are also randomly generated.
Nope.
So you know how you open one chest to be the sword you want? Nah, it's a spell. You don't know where shit is. So you have to like.
If I ever get to a point, and I'm saying this on stream, where it's going to be on YouTube, It's going to be on Spotify and anywhere else you get your podcast.
Cheap plug.
If I was to ever play a game like that, I must really love that game.
Very much so. But
I must
really love it.
Really love that game. Because once again, me as a gamer, and I'm not afraid to tell people this, I'm usually a one and done person. I rarely play games more than once. I must really love your game for that to be a thing. I must really love your game to where I didn't played it and now I'm playing it again with like crazy mods attached to it. I really love this game.
Right.
But other than that,
y'all enjoy. Y'all have all the fun.
Like
you do power to y'all.
You do you, fam.
You do you, fam, because it's not for your boy.
Because I
that right now.
Because if I tell you, if I go into the Royal Academy and I walk into that area expecting to fight Renala, and I beat her first form, and then I go to that moon area and it's Placidusax, I'm cutting the shit off.
Now, for those who may have watched my stream against Placi D, Placi D was almost my hardest boss in the game. I don't know what it was about that ancient fucking dragon.
Missing a head.
Placi D took your boy a minute. And if I'm thinking I'm about to fight Queen of the Moon and I fight the original dragon, this your boy.
Like, man.
It's like boss name says, I am too weak for this area.
Like, especially because whatever I get from what I pick up is what I have to work with. Oh man, fam.
I am too weak for this area.
Fam.
Hell, like you said, if I go outside and the tree sentinel is a fucking if the tree sentinel is something that I know that I'm supposed to fight later, this ain't the game for me. I'm not playing this game. I'm done. Ooh. But Boss and I are gonna wrap it up. I will say this. Not only is it gonna be a cheap plug, but twitch.tv/LessThanStealthyNinjas or twitch.tv/TheScooterRay. Both of us will be on Elden Ring's Shadow of the Erdtree. I don't know if I'm gonna be in Boss's game or Boss is gonna be in my game. We gotta iron out those logistics, but Friday.
Yes, sir.
We will be on it for the first time, so we will see everything together.
Exactly. We're gonna fight every boss together.
So probably what we're gonna do, we're probably gonna all do it in Boss's game, and then we're gonna just double back and do it all in mine.
Absolutely.
So if Boss wants me to help him fight bosses, we'll do that. If he wants to do the bosses by himself, I will let him do his thing. But we will experience this together. You will hear all the frustrations, all of the swearing, all of the war cries, all of the begging and pleading, because we don't know what we expect.
Like, all I know is I've seen, everything I've seen has been from the trailer. And I've
only seen that trailer one time.
Same. So I only know of two bosses. Old boy on the cover and whatever that lion thing is in the cloak. That's it. I don't know nothing else. I don't know when they occur. So I don't know what the areas look like. Well, no. I'm gonna say this. I read Game Informer's preview part of it. And they say like the area it doesn't look as bright and well lit. It looks more desolate, like it's in the shade of the tree. And it's just this big plane and they got fucked up just walking around. And I was like, okay, let's fucking go. And that's where I stopped reading because I was like, no, I don't need no more spoilers. I don't need nothing else. I'm good to go. Because see, me and Scoop been around a long time. We know from first view of something we want to either see, whether it's a movie or if it's game we want to buy. We know already. We done played enough to know when something looks like ain't our shit. We know when it looks garbage. We know when we want to play something. And so we don't need nothing else. Like if you've seen my reactions on the Less Than Stealthy Ninjas YouTube channel, you've heard me say after many a trailer, that's all I need to see. I'll see it when it come out. That's all I need.
That's all I need to see.
That's all I need. And so, yeah, we're going to be on it this Friday. And it's going to be a hell of a thing. So, because I don't know how big it is, how long it is. Pause. And
it's probably might be fun.
So, you know, yeah, man, I can't wait.
We here. We will be here. The adventures of Burrow continues.
Mm-hmm.
It continues. And we'll see, because I got it downloaded, ready to go. And as soon as 11 p.m. hit, and see,
yes,
luckily for your boy, before we had that, luckily for your boy, I didn't start a new game plus.
No, me neither.
So,
I'm selling my original.
So Mode is already defeated. I didn't pull the Planet Nico. Planet Nico started New Game Plus, and he still got to get to Mode.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's gonna be harder.
Tune into his stream starting tomorrow. Planet _ Nico _ games, Twitch, all that, because he will be continuing his journey in Elden Ring 2. But once again, he has to get in beat mode,
and it's gonna be harder because it's New Game Plus. And
your boy did do that.
And like we talked about how big Elden Ring has been the past 2 years. I don't know if you saw that interesting tidbit where over 60% of the players had never beat mode.
I had sent it to the group chat. So the group chat. So there's an image. There's a stat that IGN released that the player count for Elden Ring, there's at least 62% of people that have not done the necessary things to get to the DLC.
Right.
So let's look at it this way. 62% of the player base has not done the thing necessary. That means that roughly, if we're doing maths, 38% of people finish this game.
Very much so.
Roughly, because if you have gotten that far to beat mode and you didn't finish the game, something tragic must have happened. Something
tragic.
Because by the time you get to mode, I would hope that you just was like, this is done. This is being finished. But yeah, 62% has not done what's necessary to even start the DLC. That was more difficult than what Bloodborne had to do.
Man, look,
because by the time you get to Moog is deep in the game.
That's the truth. Like I remember what it took to get to the Dark Souls DLC. You had to get to the Great Basin, you had to kill the Hydra, and then you just had to walk through the no, you had to get up to that one area in the castle, and you had to get a medallion from one golem. Then you had to go back to the basin after you killed the Hydra, go find the gold golem, kill the gold golem, and then touch the teleporter. That was it. And so then it took you to where you fought Artorias of the Abyss with and the father of the Abyss, Melanus, and then fuck them, that Black Knight Dragon. But man, like that's always gonna be a thing with From Software games. Like you get DLC, all right, we give you DLC. You got to get to here to use it. So yeah, man,
gotta love it. But yes, we will be on Shadow of the Erdtree. Let me show it for y'all again that don't know. And not only that, we just love these games. You know, we just love them. Like, I don't mind playing a game that's difficult. I'm talking about, you know, we didn't put in mad hours with Helldivers 2. Like I told y'all, I put in mad hours on Cuphead and the DLC, finished them both. I finished personally Sekiro, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring. Boss has finished all but Sekiro, right?
Yes, all but Sekiro.
So Boss has finished all the FromSoft games besides Sekiro.
I'm at the end of Sekiro too, so like I'm at 96%. So
I played Neo. I played the first Neo and beat it. That game almost made me broke a controller. The God of War games. So anything that has a difficultness to them, it's just something that has clicked in adult us that just makes us want to play these games. Because if teenage me was in this world today, the only thing that would have made me play these games might have been pure hype or pure peer pressure. There's no way I would have been like, I want to buy that. Nope. It would have been either hype or peer pressure. Plain and simple. But that's his Ninja Banter. You know what I'm saying? Boss and I ranting about our love for these hard ass games. These whole, we're too weak for these area games. These whole apologize to that person game.
Right. Know your place as games. Like shit.
And before I go, one more little tidbit that makes this shit funny. You can get strong as hell and think you can punch a boss and they'll still look at you like, you might have beat me, but there's still more after me. And then you try to punch a regular enemy and that enemy looking at you like, oh, that's it. Once again, like boss's name say, I am too weak for this area.
Like I remember one funny moment from our young days when you were finally playing Final Fantasy IX and you got to that one dungeon in Disc 3 where you were hitting everything with everything you had and it did nothing.
Look here. And the last little story before we go. All right.
But it took you about what, 2.5 hours, 3 hours till you asked me what the hell is wrong with this place.
For anybody who knows Final Fantasy and for anybody who's truly played, especially the old school Final Fantasy, there's going to be times you're going to just over level your character. Well, in Final Fantasy IX, Squaresoft, still then, Squaresoft was like, hey, let's put a joke in here.
Right.
And let's see if the people can figure it out.
Because they give you no hints.
See, Beige Mage over here knew the game. He didn't say nothing.
Nothing.
You go to this little haunted house looking thing and you're just like, bet. Because by this time, you're the big man on campus.
You're level 30s, 40s, 50s, maybe. Yeah.
You're pretty much unfuckwittable because you can just hit some shit one time and be done. So you're in this haunted house and the monsters in there. And even the monsters in there look like, oh, child, please. You see your strongest character, whether it's Steiner, whether it's Freya, whether it may be even you. Or you hit it with the strongest attack that VV may have at that time. And it's nothing more demoralizing when the number's 13. I know Steiner didn't just hit this thing and it just said 13.
Because at this point you were doing like 1,000 plus 1,500.
I know
2,000.
I know Armorant didn't just do 8 damage. What the fuck is this? Then when they hit you, you like, oh, wait. Now, you can survive the battle. You can survive. You can still win it because once again, the enemies are not high on HP. They just deal high damage output. So I'm like, okay, that's a one-off fight. Overconfidence. Get to the next one in there because remember, back in the day, these Final Fantasies was random generated battles. Then you realize, wait, this shit is happening again.
Every fight.
Boss looks at me and was like, hey, you want me to give you a hint? You want me to tell you what's up with this area? I say, please do before I break your controller and TV. Come to find out, the little joke Squaresoft made was, hey, everything you have equipped is trash. We want you to use the weakest stuff
that you started with.
Your weakest weapons, your weakest armor, all of that. Equip that. Now, this is the beauty of that. How would you have known that?
Because they give you no hint.
You can use your sword that only does 2 damage, and that bitch is damn near doing 9,999.
Very much so.
There's no way you would have known that. No way.
No possible way you would have known that. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we out of here. Scooter Ray, Cosmic 2 week for this area, boss. Shout outs to our third and our lady ninja, Run Your Miss. Once again, twitch.tv/LessThanStealthyNinjas, twitch.tv/The Scooter Ray. Friday around maybe 7:30, we will be on Elden Ring, Shadow of the Erdtree, doing this all over again. Thank y'all for tuning in. Love one another, take care of one another, look out for your mental, physical health. And until then, we just trying to make the Ninja Village proud.
Every
Peace.
damn day.